So, there is a way out of every box. A solution to every puzzle is just a matter of finding it. Well said by Jean-Luc Picard, a fictional character from Star Trek. So, welcome back on yet another collaboration event of Developer Student Club across India. This time we are celebrating Solution Challenge 2021. So, we are thrilled to announce Design to Sustain as a part of Solution Challenge. So, basically, Design to Sustain is an event aimed at facilitating and mentoring student developer to boost their solution projects with optimal efficiency. So the event consists of two parts. First one is design sprint and second one is live mentorship one-on-one via Air Meet on Google Developer Technologies. So before moving forward, I just want to know, are you all excited about today's session? Let's the comment pour in. Yeah. So today's agenda is divided into two parts. So the first part is the panel discussion on brainstorming and streaming the ideas. And in the second half is all about wireframing and UI UX prototyping. So without any further ado, let's invite our guest for panel discussion. So our first panelist is Lasya. She is the DSC lead at Andhra University College of Engineering. And our second panelist is Yashank, a DSC lead at Chatkara University. So welcome Lasya and Yashank. And I'm
Hi
your host
guys.
Sabha from DSC PGDAV. Yeah.
Hello
Hi
everyone.
everyone.
And guys, if you have any questions, you can post it on the live chat. We will happy to take towards the end or during the session. So yeah, without any further delay, let's get started with our first question. So Lasya, how to identify problem statements and how do you know that the statement is feasible enough or good enough as an idea for solution challenge? Yeah.
All right. So that's a question that everybody usually has. Since the session is oriented towards solution challenge, the theme of this year's solution challenge is to come up with an idea and to build a product which comes under any or which solves any one of the 17 SDGs, which is Sustainable Development Goals by UN. It can solve any one of them or more than one of them. More the better. So as you can see on the screen, there are 17 sustainable development goals. The first one being no poverty, second one being zero hunger, third one being good health and well-being, fourth one being quality education, fifth one being gender equality, clean water and sanitation, affordable and clean energy, decent work and economic growth, industry, innovation and infrastructure, reduced inequalities, sustainable cities and communities, responsible consumption and production, climate action, life below water, life on land, peace, justice, and strong institutions, partnerships for the goals. So these are the major, necessities that the youth have to focus on to solve more and more problems. So I'm actually glad that the solution challenge is revolving around these for this year. So coming to your question as to how we can identify problems from a particular solution, I think this year, I think it's better that we were given a particular set of problems and through which we have to come up with solutions, because usually it's very, you can just come up with any solution under the sun, and that's very hard to streamline. But now that you're given options, 17 options, it's easier to find solutions to these. And these are some of the problems that you find every day: poverty, zero hunger, and all of these are typically what you see day in and day out. So I would initially start by suggesting what you would do if you come across such a problem. You come across such things, but you never really think of a solution to solve it. So when you think of, like, I would suggest anybody who wants to take part in the solution challenge to initially go through all the problem statements, like no poverty, zero hunger, and read about them. Come up with solutions that probably what you would want to do. Like, let's say let's consider the case of no poverty. then the next thing I want to do is probably donate money, to other people. And one way that I can donate money is through NGOs, right? So I didn't think about why I don't want to, donate money through NGOs, because I might have a lot of trust issues with a lot of NGOs, that if they really legit or not, or are they a scam, or do they really help people? So how can you solve this problem? So you just have to think in that area as to what is the problem that you're facing in that particular thing, to help people or to get out of this problem, and then how do you want to solve it. But then comes the issue of, how feasible is the idea that you're thinking. So let's say, I might want to help a lot of women. If all of us know, right, that women face a lot of issues with pads. You don't get sanitary napkins as easily as you get other stuff. So it's usually a taboo in our country, and it's really important. It comes under healthcare, where a lot of women really need to focus on, and they don't use it. So one idea I would get is to distribute uh, sanitary napkins, probably at street endings or something like that. But that's not really feasible. I mean, that's not really something you can do right now, for the solution challenge, right? Keeping in mind the limitations, it's a very good idea, but keeping in mind the limitations with respect to technology and funding, that might not be the most apt solution for now. So so the feasibility would depend on how you can efficiently portray that idea to the judges in the form of a video, because you have to submit a video, and that video would be the basis of judgment for solution challenge, right? So how well can you depict this problem and your solution in that video is something that you would have to think about as well. So I would suggest everybody to go about all the 17 SDGs and list out a few problems that you regularly face in each of these categories, and how do you wish to solve them. And most of them might not be feasible for you to solve sitting at home with the limited restriction that you have with your laptop, be it technology or something like that. So that's when you can later scrutinize depending on other factors, and that's how you can get more and more ideas. So yeah.
Yeah, that's a great answer. So Yashang, do you want to add some point on this? Yeah. Yashang, you are on mute.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry.
Perfect.
So last to last year, I attended DevFest, and there was a sir there from GDG Goa. So I attended his session, and after his session, my mindset for the problem statement and solution was totally different. So I'll share what he told me. So he said, if you think your idea is great, then don't do it. Then I was like, sir, why are you saying so? So he told me, like, if you think your idea is great, don't do it because you think it's great. But your idea should be great for your clients or for the person or the problem statement you are solving for, who are actually affected by that. So don't sit at your place and think like they must be facing this issue. Let's solve this. Don't do this. Ask them, ask people, go to people, meet them, ask what they are facing, how you can solve them. That's the right way to approach a problem statement instead of just thinking and just taking inspiration from own mind, like they must be needing this. That won't help. So I suggest just go around, talk to people, ask them if they are facing this issue. And see the
Yeah.
NGO one, the last year told, right? So that the same thing I have faced. So if someone comes to me and I ask, I want to solve this, I'll give my general reviews or opinions. See, I face these issues. Maybe he wasn't covering that part in his solution, so he may just add on that features in it. So this is the right way. Just go talk to people. The maximum you talk, the maximum you will get ideas. And I believe all the entrepreneurs, they never became entrepreneurs just by sitting at their place in their, like with the laptop and just thinking around for the solution. They must have been through those issues, then they solved it. So go through that and try to talk to people, and that will really help.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah,
And
and I would also like to add that user review, as Yashank said, is the most important, because you never know how good your idea is unless and until people really tell you that they need it. So once you brainstorm your ideas, like if you don't have your ideas, the first thing is to get a couple of ideas and then do user review, because you never know if that's what people really want. So yeah, I agree with Yashank on this.
yeah. And in my point, in my view, that the good idea is not to trying to think of ideas. That would be the wrong way to start. The best way to look for look for problems, preferably the problem you are facing in your day to day life. So yeah, that could be the idea. So yeah. Now, moving forward to our next question. So, this is for Yashank. So, after we are sure of the idea, then how do you check the practical feasibility and the implementation of the idea technically? So, yeah.
Yeah. So basically talking about feasibility, so like there are two feasibility that a person should take care of. The first one is just general client feasibility, if even if it's like possible to do it, if they have the resources to do it. And the second one is technicality. If I'll say okay, so I'll make a pill. If someone takes it, they can have a good sleep for 12 hours, 24 hours without any side effects. That's not possible technologically, right? In your mind it may be a good stuff, but technologically, medically, it's not possible. So you should be aware of how feasible your idea technically is and how feasible it is for customers to use it, because at the end of every project you want to convert into a product. That's the best way to tackle a solution, right? Convert your projects into products. So for this technical feasibility, I'll say you need to know the core fundamentals on which your project will be working on. So for say if you are making a website or making a web app, so if you'll think like I'll add this feature, and you don't have any idea of HTML even, so it will be hard. You can have ideas, that's always good. Having an inspiration, having like list of ideas, it's always good to have them, so that whenever you are talking to a person who is good at tech, they can give their reviews. But not talking to a people who knows tech or who knows how to implement that may affect your project, because you don't know, you are in your cloud 9 situation, you don't know what actually or where actually you stand. So I'll suggest, if you want to create anything, just if you don't have to learn the whole technology, just learn the few basic concepts if it's possible or not. So for say I want to make an Android app, so you don't have to generally go into Java and Kotlin and learn the whole language and then start working on it. Instead, go to YouTube, search for the feature that you are using or a similar feature. If it's possible, if someone is using that, if someone has made it in this world, then obviously it's feasible. You can do it. It will take time, but it's feasible. Okay, now talking about for solution challenge technically, so there are like everyone knows like we need a Google technology to be eligible for solution challenge to solve this. So there are multiple technologies in the every field, like you can go with Flutter, Google Cloud, Android, TensorFlow, Google Assistant, Firebase. We have multiple others in case you want to use that. So choosing your tech stack should be according to your client base. So I have seen people using Firebase just because it's easy to use, but their user case is really different. Firebase is not the best choice. So make sure your solution is feasible according to the technology you are using. So in case you want to make a Flutter app, you are thinking to create a cross-platform app, go with Flutter, right? It's good. Now we have Flutter web as well in alpha, so you can use that. That's a good job to do. So just make sure whenever you are using a technology or whenever you are thinking to use a technology, you know a little bit about it, and you have idea how it works. And the best thing I believe is it's a team challenge. So even if you are a marketing guy, you are the marketing guy, or you are the finance guy of the team, you can have a person who can do better in tech, and you can always go around and have a person in your team. So that will be like the best part. And with this, I just have one more thing in my mind. Whenever you are taking care of streamlining your ideas, when you have idea, you have technology with you, you have people with you, the major thing is collaboration and the timeline. That's the biggest issue as a student you will face, because obviously you have your college life, you have your projects, side projects, maybe your internships, and maybe the other person who is in your team, they have it. So it's better to sit around and talk to your team, be genuinely, like ask them whenever they'll be free, give them task, have a flexible timeline, but make sure that flexible timeline is enough to complete your project on time. Because at last, the best thing you have to do is you have to give your project to your customers for a review. As last year told, like their review will be the real review that will tell you if your project or if your product is a
Yeah.
boom or you need changes. So I'll give an example. So recently with the COVID time, I worked on a currency sanitizing machine. So what I faced, like there were a lot of people getting COVID just because the change of currency. So yeah, we got online transaction, but there are few people who still use hard cash, right? So we came up with an idea where there'll be a currency sanitizing machine. But then we saw like that machine was already there, but people were using UV rays for that. So we came up, we talked to the people, we talked to the shopkeepers, like, why aren't you guys using that? We have that currency sanitizing machine. Then there was a street vendor. He told us, I don't earn that much in my 6 months, that much that machine cost me. So I was like, yeah, that's a real issue because that use UV lights. So it's better to create something without that much of cost. So we came up with an idea, we patented that idea, and we my team got a funding for that, because whenever you create an idea, that's really cool and that's really for the people, because I had that authorization that they people need it and they approved it. Yeah, that will go good. In the same way, go talk to the people when you streamline your idea. Whenever you are implementing it, at that time also go to the customers, have their reviews even when you are building it. After building your beta testing or your pilot testing, obviously you need that. Before that also, just make sure you get in contact with them.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So, Lasya, do you have anything to add to this? Yeah.
Yeah, well, like he's covered most of the stuff, but as he mentioned, while you're really, while your idea is ready, you think that is ready, probably release out an alpha version or a beta version, because you never know if they really need it or no. And you will have to talk about how user review as well. That will fetch you marks in the final solution challenge as well. They will know that when you talk about the implementation that you did after taking the user review, that this is what we got, this is the feedback that we got, and these are the implementations that we did after that. That will definitely add more value. And because they'll get to know that people really, they ask people and they really need it, because unless and until you have like a market out there for you, your idea is not that useful when you have to really, because at the end it's not just solution challenge, you'll have to implement this idea for people, as he said. So yeah, that is the major thing. User review you have to keep in mind. And if your idea is typically like a proper business idea, like if you want to convert it into a business, this might or might not come under solution challenge, because a lot of people might not have this mindset. But if you have this mindset where you want to convert this into a startup, or you're looking for
Yeah.
funding at the end of the product, coming up with the product, I would suggest you to highly go through your business model canvas. That is like the major step when you are looking for finance, and if you want to convert this into a startup. So take up that business model canvas. You typically read business model canvas from right to left. So it'll have all the important parts, which is the channel logistics, which is the your revenue, and then your income, and all of those things. So I'll suggest you to do that and get your revenue fixed, because you never know if what if they ask you, like, what are your plans for the future. So you should be able to do that as well. So yeah.
Yeah. And one more thing I like to add on to this. So at a hackathon, so basically this is a kind of a hackathon, or you can say a project-based hackathon. So here, the one thing you have to take care is you have to focus on your product, not to learn that technology fully. Because if you'll start learning today Java and then you thinking I'll first learn Java then make my project, yeah, it will take time, and it will definitely take time. So at a hackathon, so the tip I got it from my senior and I want to tell everyone right there. So just learn that much you need. And after that, when you are working after that hackathon for that
Yeah.
product, then start learning the core language or the core process, because at that time you need a prototype, and there is a big difference between prototype and a whole product. So right now, if you will be able to convert a prototype into a existence, like you can show them a product with a video, and if they like it, and if you get into there, then definitely you can start working on those technologies as a core technology, and then you can convert it into product. So it takes time, everything takes time. So just make sure in this hackathon, you just get most out of it as a product, and then get into the technology.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
another thing that I wanted to mention is that yeah, the ideation phase is very important, because that makes or breaks the total thing. And then comes the implementation part is like very easy. The ideation phase and how good are people, what is the demand in the market for you, these are the two things that you have to keep in mind, the user review and the ideation part. If those are okay, even if it's a prototype, or if it's a fully implemented project, doesn't matter, because you have your stuff ready. And implementation technically is the least important part, because although because you have several ways to do it, you will find somebody who can help you do it, but with your idea and with the user review, those are the most important things. And this reminds me of one advice that one of a mentor gave me when I attended one of the startup weekends, which is we were working on an e-commerce website, and our idea was typically focusing on the sellers. Like, we were thinking whom to include, like we were focusing our e-commerce platform would be for a particular market. But a mentor suddenly, we worked for it for like 2 days straight, but then a mentor came and she said, do you really think your clients would be really interested to go to this site and buy it rather than other e-commerce site? So start thinking from the client's perspective. And that changed our whole BMC, our whole idea totally, because we started thinking from the client side, and that was not the ideal thing that we were doing till then, because we were focusing more on the platform and more on the seller's side. But we realized that there's not much market to it, so that would be the first thing. So always think from this client side, or the target market that you were focusing on, always think from their perspective. And that's what I think the judges would do as well, because that's the most important thing.
Yeah, and last thing like to add here is, so basically whenever you are looking for a problem statement that may be common but you have a great idea, go through your research, because I have came across so many hacks and so many projects that they have an idea and that's good, but that's already been implemented, or any of the company or any of the startup is working on that. So instead of working from that core stuff, you can work to improvise it, or you can work to improve it. That will be a better option, because if you are making that thing again, so if you'll start making Instagram today, that doesn't make sense, but if you make something to improve Instagram, that makes sense, right? So in this way, try to have your research first, then go along with the solution.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong in, taking the same idea up again. But as I already mentioned, I keep mentioning this, that newer ideas are not something out of the blue, but they're solutions to existing problems created by existing
Correct.
solutions. So if you think that that's an improvised version of something, I mean, you just have to ask the question, why would somebody use your product when, rather than the competitive products that you are, competing against? And if you have a clear cut solution that, the market will use this for this value point, you need to have your value point straight. And if you have a value point, then I am sure that idea would succeed. So don't go back if you don't have a newer idea, if you think that idea has already been there. But if you have an improvisation, don't go back. I would say still implement it, depending on the target market.
Yeah, exactly. Like you can compare Flipkart, Amazon, you can compare Zomato and Swiggy, right? They have a basic structure, but they have different ways to solve those things. We always have two companies or more than two companies working on a same solution, same problem statement, but with different solutions. In the same way, if you have a problem statement that's already been there, but make sure your solution is somewhat different or that's better than the existing ones. That will definitely help you while you are working on it or while you are pitching it to someone.
Yeah, that's a great answer, and I believe all the student will get some insight here how to approach an idea and how to work on any particular idea. Yeah, that's great. And coming back to the next question, as Yashank, you have participated in many hackathons and built some cool projects. So, what sort of things we should keep in mind while when building a project for any hack? So, yeah, can you share
Yeah,
some your experience?
Yeah, that as I I did previously as well, don't go to create the whole product in those 36 or 48 hours when you are at hack. That won't be possible, guys. Just make sure to make a prototype. That prototype should able to like explain the features you are making. Just make those features. You can add the UI UX later on, or maybe you can do it once you are done with your core functionalities. UI UX plays equal role. I agree. Doesn't it's not like UI UX doesn't have any role, but if you don't have any feature, you just have a website that's totally static. That doesn't even show a login sign up page where you are telling that they'll have a profile. That doesn't make any sense. But if you'll have a profile feature function where you can change stuff or where you can show the functionality, then add something, then it will help. So this is something that will help you. And one more thing, when you are at hack, the best thing or the best thing, look around yourself. Don't just get into your project, your team. Look around people, talk to them. You will find out how other people are looking around for the other solutions. Maybe you'll have a better solution to their problem statement, right? So you can just always look around for other solution and other stuff. So you can go ahead with this, and there are a lot of frameworks or stuff that can help you, right? You can speed up your process. So that will actually help you.
Yeah, that's great. And let's take some questions from our audience. So there's some couple of questions. So yeah, there's a question from Abhinav that how to develop better ideas than hardware hacks. So yeah, anyone
Sorry,
would like to take this
can
up?
you repeat?
There's a question from Abhinav that how to develop better ideas than hardware hacks. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, it happened with me on my first hackathon as well when I went for my hackathon, and there was a very cool team who was sitting next to me, and they were creating something out of lasers that was for the security systems. And I was
Okay.
so interested in that project, and everyone in my hack used to come to them and talk to them, and they went back. No one bothered about us. And I was like, yeah, we are not that bad. Why are they just talking about that hardware only? Because see, that's human mentality. You go to the place or you buy stuff that you can see. Correct? So in the same way, they came there because they can see those laser moving. But it doesn't matter. At the end, if you are able to pitch your idea better, then that will be the best thing. So I'll just suggest whenever you are pitching your idea, make sure you are able to convey what you are making and why are you making and what your market or your customer size is. So that will totally improvise all these hardware software barriers, I guess.
That's great. And there's a question. Um, yeah. Yeah. Alok Tanva asked ki what are the difference between Flutter and Android Studio and which is better for app development? And I think Yashank, you will be the better one to answer this question. Yeah.
Yeah, so basically, Flutter and Android. So you can say Flutter is a cross platform, platform where you can develop cross platform. So basically, you can write a code, you can make changes, and you can make code out of for that Android, iOS, and for your Windows desktop app as well. So, whereas Android is a core native where you can just write your code in Java or Kotlin, and you will have your Android apps ready. So for the hack, if you are a beginner and if you want to create, then go ahead with Flutter because that will be easy way for you and it will be a really faster way because you just have to create a prototype. Maybe later on, if you think your idea is doing good, you can switch back or you can just go ahead with that only. So I'll suggest Flutter will be the better way to go ahead with this.
Nice. There is one more question that can I change my idea if I already submitted and if this is one better than the earlier one? So yeah.
Okay, I can take this up. I don't think there are multiple submissions possible in Solution Challenge. It's just one submission. You have to create one video, I mean, depicting your project. And there are certain guidelines. I can probably show that to you if I can. So there are a few guidelines that you will have to keep in mind. I mean, basic judging criteria that they will, consider. Uh, so a few of them would be UI and how well your problem statement is solving an issue. How well does that come under any one of the, you know, yeah, how well does it come under any one of the 17 SDGs? And how well is your UI? How many user reviews have you taken and how much have you implemented them? And how does your app function and how well does it solve a problem and all of those things? So, but it's typically just one submission that they will consider or not.
Yeah, I believe all these conditions are there on the website for Solution Challenge. So you can refer
Yes.
there and you can find answers there.
Yeah, that's cool. And one more personal question is that to build a project or a product, you have to build a team. So how team is important, and what kind of team should we choose in our to build that project? So anyone can take this question.
I guess
Okay, I
last
can
can
go.
be the, yeah.
So yeah, team is very important because obviously you might not be able to implement all of the skills together, even though if you are self-sufficient and can do the project alone, you will definitely need more manpower to execute it well. And even if you say, if you consider that you have the skills to implement the whole project in one, I mean by all by yourself, I would suggest take in more team members that would complement your ideas or your mindset. I mean, with the skills that you don't have or you lack, or the mindset that you typically don't think of, because that will add a lot of value. Definitely different insights and different tech stacks would definitely add more and more value to the project that you work on, right? So if it's technical skills, if you're lacking something, you need obviously most of the time it happens that you will need somebody from other tech stack that who's good at other stuff. Like if you're a web developer, you might need an ML person if you have some ML implementation, or if you're a front end person, you will need a back end developer and stuff like that. So I would suggest people, you need a good team so that they can complement your ideas, and they should also strongly believe in the idea that you do. Otherwise, there might be chances that they're not equally interested in the idea. So find team members who believe in your idea as much as you do, and who would really complement your skills. Don't take too many web developers and then too many app developers just because it's an app. Take skills that complement your uh, skill set.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
that's
totally agree. And I'll just
so. I
add on one thing. Yeah, Sama, just last thing. Don't worry if
yeah.
you don't have a team right now, because I still remember there was a person from NIT Jalandhar last year and he was all alone and he represented India in the top 10. But it's just better to have people around so that you get a reality check. That's the only point. Yeah.
Nice. So thank you so much, Lasya and Yashank, for this panel discussion. And I believe that lots of students get some insight about how to select an idea and work on this. So yeah, and I hope you guys have a great exposure of ideas. So work on your multi-million dollar idea. So that's it.
Yeah.
So
Yes,
yeah,
thank you
Thank you,
so much for
everyone.
having us. It was a great experience.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone. See ya, guys.